Your Tigers are going to the Final Four as the South Region champions. They beat the Michigan State Spartans. We are excited here in E2C Network Central to bring you all the coverage after the show. To break it down, we're going to talk about the stats, the storylines, and of course, how beautiful it is to be back in the Final Four with this team and Coach Bruce Pearl. Join us in the chat. Let's get into all those things right now. War Eagle, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what it's like in the Auburn experience. That Auburn experience to us is a variety of different things out there. It's all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. And of course, as always, the easier way to say it is if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us. What we're going to do today, ladies and gentlemen, the Auburn Tigers are going back to the Final Four, champions of the South region of the 2020-25, there's a lot of 20s, NCAA tournament for March Madness. Soak it in, folks. Enjoy this one. It has been a hard-fought battle. But we're not done here just with that statement. We got a lot to break down and discuss. We're going to try to give you some semblance of a normal post-game show that we have here. Well, I'm just still trying to come down from everything. So let's start off, as we always do, with the important things. The rundown of what you need to know, the score, the stats, and the storylines. The big score for you, 70-64. The Tigers take down the Michigan State Spartans. The big stat for you is 4, because we're in the Final Four, baby. That's all we need to know. The big storyline, Janai Broome goes down in a huge, scary conglomeration of an injury, but thankfully comes back, finishes out the game, but it looked pretty crazy there to start off with. But folks, he is back. He is ready. We are ready. That's your stats, your scores, your storylines, all those things. As you're coming into the stream, we would love a huge help from you. Make sure you smash that like button 4 times. So you can only press it one time on most places that you're watching. If you're on Twitter, I guess, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Smash the like button, smash the share button, all that stuff. Make sure you're following, because we are not done here yet. We are going to continue doing post-game shows as long as the Tigers continue on. And right now, we have one more game at least to look forward to. We are going to look forward in just a little bit. I know that's where the majority, I already see it in the chat. Let's focus right here, right now. Let's sit in the moment. Let's enjoy this for 2 seconds. Let's talk about the game, and then we will look forward. I'd love for you to also let us know that you're here in the chat if you're watching live. Huge help to us. Lets people know that you're here. Lets us know that you're here. There are so many fine people that I'm not going to be able to say hello to, but people are just coming from all over the place, celebrating from all the different places across Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. People are buying shirts already. Remember, go through our link over at Alumni Hall as an affiliate of theirs if you're going to buy it from Alumni Hall, and you'll help support us in that process. Whoa, okay. How do we break this one down? Where do we even start? Typically, how we do these is we do the individual stats, the team stats, storylines amongst that, and then we'll look forward. And I know I want to do a little bit of that this evening, but I also want to focus a little bit on what you all most want to talk about. And I know that's what's in the future as well. So just bear with me as we kind of get through some of the normal things that we do tonight. But I got to know from everybody, even if you think it's redundant, even if you think it's obvious, even if you think this is the most stupid and obvious question Kyle Loomis could ever ask on any broadcast on E2C Network, boys and girls, who is your player of the game? Moreover, who is your National Player of the Year candidate? Post that right now in the chat. POTG. Give me your player of the game. I think I kind of set you up who I think you should pick for this. There are certainly great candidates across the board for Auburn who were integral to knocking off Tom Izzo. Can I just start right there? Let me start there. This is kind of an overall topic. But folks, Tom Izzo, 10-0 against the SEC until today. The Auburn Tigers end the record, the perfection record for Tom Izzo against the SEC. You do not mess with Tom Izzo in March, and the Tigers messed with him and won. That is a huge accomplishment right there. So many people already here giving their POTGs, player of the game. So many Janai Brooms that are coming through already, some of them twice. We also got a Cardwell player of the game, and I know that's from WT. He wants to always give the kudos to Cardwell, as you should, because he does so much more for the team than just the obvious stats. But I think it's obvious, folks. Come on. Janai Broom, player of the game. Let's look at him for a little bit here. Let's try to, for 2 seconds here, remove from your mind that Janai Broom left the game and came in and looked pretty good even after that injury that looked pretty bad. This is just his stats with that. 10 of 13 from the field. 10 of 13. He missed 3 shots the entire night. 2 for 2 from the three-point line. He does have his traditional free throw night, 3 of 6. I'll grant you that. Rebounds, 14. 10 defensive, 4 offensive, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, only 2 turnovers, only 1 personal foul. Do I need to say anything else? And then just add on top of that, had a horrific looking injury in the second half. There was some feelings and discussion that this might be a lot worse than we thought. And when that boy comes running out there and then continues what he's doing, knocks down a 3, you got to give Janai Broom the player of the game. You know, there's been a lot of conversation lately about Cooper Flagg has locked up the National Player of the Year award, and that might be true. I don't know that for a fact. It's not really, frankly, an important conversation right now. But Janai Broom, if the conversation is not over by the voters and all that stuff, just brought it back to even with his last 2 performances, especially, but tonight's performance, especially, and what he did to get Auburn to the Final Four with what he had to face. What he's had to face all year. All year. Janai Broom is your National Player of the Year. I'm going to keep saying it until I'm going to speak it into being. All right, let's see what a few people are saying here, and then we'll get back to some individual stats here and talk a little bit more about that. Neil talks about Michigan State not being able to hit the threes. Certainly that was the case in the early parts of the game. At the end of the game, they made things a little bit scary. So many other Auburn celebrations coming in on the stream. WT says, Kyle, go back a week and some days ago when a certain someone said that Tom Izzo would only get 3 wins this year with his team. If you're alluding to, I can't remember who that was actually. Who was that? WT? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But anyway, Tom Izzo, the fact that we had to face him in this position to get to the Final Four was probably the scariest proposition that was out there for me. Devin says voting is over for National Player of the Year. Ended a few weeks ago. For certain awards, there are several Player of the Year awards, and some of them get done afterwards. But you know, I know that's something we can debate back and forth. Like I said, I think the conversation has long been over. But tonight he showed that whether he gets voted in or not, he is worthy of that National Player of the Year honors. He got it in one publication, but he should get it in all of them, in my opinion. Let's see here. Corey says Kyle was worried about Izzo. Didn't look like Izzo had the talent. It's a good team, but not the same talent. Well, that's like saying that, Auburn is just eat up with talent and eat up with good players on its basketball team. I don't know that it's a fair comparison when you kind of chalk it up like that and talk about what Auburn has down the line, the depth they have, the age that they have. But Tom Izzo is a great basketball coach. Michigan State is a great program, and they are formidable. Another vote for Janai, I think, coming in from the Facebook broadcast there. WT says, okay, with all due respect to Cardwell's defense, I honestly have to give player of the game to Broom. Without him, we do not win. That is 100% true tonight. Let's look and see how everybody else did. Tonight, Janai Broom carries with 25 points, as we already talked about his stat line. You've also got Tahad Pettiford as your only other player to get into double digits with his 10. Let's look at Tahad a little bit tonight. I think overall, a rough night for him. 4 of 12 from the field, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. He missed his only free throw. He does get 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Very versatile guy again, as he was last game. And 10 points overall. I think Tahad had a pretty rough second half, but it's hard to really fault the kid when he's a freshman, still learning and growing and all those different. He's a great phenom guy, but still so many things that he can continue to grow and do better at, but he is quite the talent. When he is on fire, he is on fire. That's why you call it Tahat, excuse me, if I was trying to make a pun there. The rest of your scoring this evening, let's take a look through that. You've got Miles Kelly and Denver Jones and Chaney Johnson all with 8 points tonight. You've got Chad Baker-Mazar with a 6, Dylan Cardwell with 5. And then Chris Moore didn't get any points tonight, but certainly he was integral in being in there and giving some spells for players. And again, he's a great role player for Auburn, especially as the fouls started to pile up just a little bit. So many other people are getting here a little bit late, but good to see all of our regulars are showing up to hang out with us this evening. So what else individually it sticks out to you from this game? If there's anything you want to call out, I know WT would be upset if I didn't read the rest of Cardwell's stat line, which is pretty good. 2 of 3 from the field with a Dylan Dunkaroo or 2, I think he had. Not great on his free throws, but he does get 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks in the day. Great defensively. I thought he actually had a few more personal fouls than he did. Got a little bit scary there when the fouls started to pile up on some of our individuals, our big guys especially, like Chaney with 4 and Dylan getting to 3 pretty quickly in the second half. If Janai doesn't come back in and we get in that situation, we are probably in a world of hurt. WT wants to give a shout out to Chaney for his amazing game with his 8 points. He does get 6 rebounds, 1 block, only 1 turnover. Play. I think Chaney had a lot of what we've seen throughout the year, kind of like hot and cold moments. But what I loved about Chaney, and I'm glad that you brought this up, it just came to mind here. The moment where Chaney, right after Janai went out, Chaney goes up and gets blocked. And I think they went down and scored. They came back, and it looked like they almost ran the exact same play, but Chaney made an adjustment on his guy that was back. He was trying to back down on, and then faked him out and went and made the layup as opposed to getting blocked that time. That is a great, smart move right there of a guy that learns from his mistakes and shows that he is worthy of being in high regard on this team. So, Dad by Faith is here. He says, I'm a mess, War Eagle. We're all a mess here. Welcome to the mess, and welcome to the craziness that is celebrating yet another Final Four for the Auburn Tigers. Okay, I listen. I know we want to keep moving forward here in the show. We'll keep doing that. Keep bringing up some comments, questions, topics about individuals, stuff like that. We'll bring it up throughout the show if you guys want to continue to talk about it. Let's get to the overall conversation here of the game. The team stats, things like that. How difficult it is to beat a Tom Izzo team in March. It's not just January, February, March. It's January, February, Izzo, April. That's how the calendar actually goes. But your South Region champs were up for the challenge tonight. Looking at team stats, you know exactly where we're going to go. Say it with me. Free throws, rebounds, and turnovers. Let's look at them really quickly. Free throws today, horrendous for Auburn. Absolutely horrendous. I'm not even going to mince words here. It's probably the one big negative I have on the day. 55%, 11 of 20 for Auburn, compared to a beautiful and immaculate 81% from Michigan State and Tom Izzo. I'm going to give Tom Izzo his credit where the credit is due. Let's look at rebounds. Very close, but Michigan State wins this too. And you got to wonder if that kind of equalized out once Janai went out there, 41-39. So that's 2 categories in the favor of Michigan State. Turnovers. Thankfully, this is the big thing here. And somebody pointed it out in the chat a second ago, and I'm not seeing it here right offhand to give you credit for it. But the juxtaposition of this game to last game in turnovers, it was like, what, 15 in the first half or something. I forget. It was ridiculous. 12 maybe, but it was a lot of turnovers in the first half of last game. 6 total for the game for Auburn to their 9. Not a bad and pretty decent turnover game of what we've seen a lot sometimes in the tournament. 9-6, Auburn wins this category. So technically, of those 3 things that we always stress on, Michigan State wins those and maybe explains why it's a little bit closer than it should have been. Just a little bit closer than it should have been. But yeah, there you go. Let's see. WT says it was not it was not so much that MSU was so bad at hitting threes. We were suffocating on the outside defense. You couple with that, right? It can be great defense, but if they just have all the lady luck on their side, there was the 1-3 that the sound was horrible and it just kind of hit the backboard, stopped all its motion there, and then kind of rolled in. Sometimes you're just having all that luck. The rolls are going your way. The shooters roll, right? So you can play great defense and they still shoot great, but you can also play bad defense and then just not be at all good from there. Let's look at this a little bit. They actually shoot better from 3-point percentage than Auburn, 30% to their 28% on the field for the day. Here's a pretty decent-ish discrepancy. 34% for the day for Michigan State from the field, 42 for Auburn. It's a big difference. They were a little bit more efficient with the ball, resulting in obviously a very, at times, narrow 6-point win that made people a little bit nervous as we were getting down to it. Let's see here. Neil says Michigan State had some wide open threes that they missed. They certainly did. Certainly did. Whether it's defense, I mean, obviously, if they're wide open, that you could say it wasn't great defense, but couple all those things together, and it worked in Auburn's favor. Let's see here. WT says, how about that Cardwell block that goes straight up in the air, and he finished it on offense with a deuce? What didn't he? Yeah, didn't he go coast to coast on that one pretty much? I was looking up and down, giving you guys some content in the middle of the game, trying to do all that in the middle of this franticness, and March Madness can get a little bit troublesome at times. Looking at other team stats before we move and look forward and focus there, because again, I know y'all are itching to talk about that. Assist, Auburn wins the day with 16 assists, really good for them. They lose by 1 in the steals category, 5-4. They tie in the blocks category, 5-5. Fast breaks points. Michigan State wins points in the paint. Auburn wins by 4. We're really looking for what's the difference here in the game, and it may just have been the shooting average for Auburn. Auburn's largest lead was 15. Michigan State's largest lead was 2. Fouls, more for Michigan State by the end of it, 18-16. So if you take away a few of those that are forced, it's a pretty fairly called game. At the end of the day, though, it did feel sometimes like it wasn't going to be called that way. So looking at all of this right now, there's not really a stat that sticks out to me other than the shooting percentage overall from the field. Because they, even as bad as they shot at times from 3 points, they still shot better than us. 34.4% for Michigan State, 42.6% for Auburn. So that's the game. It is done. Auburn made it through the South region, folks. Let's tie a bow on this. Take a step back for just a second. It began with waiting to see who was going to be the 16 seed. Alabama State, I was wishing for that matchup. We got it. A little bit of a scare from them in the first half. We win. Then you go and face Creighton and their amazing 3-point shooting team, and they, boy, gave us a scare in that game. Auburn pulls it out in the end. You go up against Michigan, who's fighting the entire time, but you pull away and put it away convincingly. This one, a fight to the end, even though Auburn was trying to take control from the very, very get-go. That's your path. That's how it happened. That's Auburn's path to the Final Four. Auburn is your South Champ region. And may I remind you of my prediction that I'm still going to stand by. If Auburn made out of this region, they will win the national title. I'm standing by it. I know what's ahead. I don't care. Don't be afraid. Be ready. Okay, couple things here. We'll spend the rest of our show talking about future stuff, the matchup coming up, all of that, anything that's left over in the show. Let me remind for those of you that are live, hey, we're not done here this evening. We have got a ton of content left for you on this Sunday evening because every single Sunday night is the flagship show, the Auburn Experience Podcast, Sports, Culture, Family, where we spend 30 minutes to an hour talking about all those 3 topics to main Auburn potpourri with all your Auburn news. There will be a lot of this type of talk there, so don't miss it. There's a live show. You can watch it at 9 Eastern time and take part in our Q&A at the end of it, or catch the replay in the main podcast audio if you want to do that as well. As a reminder, we will do post-game shows from San Antonio for the games in the Final Four and see how those go. So join us for those whenever those are announced, times, all that different stuff. And as always, check out the links in our description for ways to help us, to help support us, help get involved, to follow other places, and connect with us here. So let's talk about it. What else is on your mind? Devin, I see your comment here. Auburn versus Florida. The matchup is at hand. Can I point this out to you? And it's probably already been pointed out on social media, but maybe it hasn't at this point because everything's still kind of fresh. Auburn will have to face a rematch no matter what, which says a couple things here. It proves that Auburn's SEC and non-conference schedule was as tough as advertised. The fact that Auburn has to go not only to face on someone they played before, but has to get through the team that probably a lot of people would describe as exposed them during the middle of the season, Florida, and who's playing pretty decent. I think they've probably the last two games, gotten out of the game that they shouldn't have. But I think if you're looking for a way to beat Florida, you look right there. You show Auburn, yeah, they beat you, and they beat you pretty good at home, but they're not invincible. This isn't at Neville. This isn't at their place. This is in March Madness. This is fair game here. Neutral site. You've won tough neutral sites before. Point to Houston. Point to Maui. Point to Atlanta when we did it here, when we did it in the middle of the season. That's how you beat Florida. Right there. The formula is there. It can be done. Don't be afraid. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but just something to point out at the start of this thing. As we're breaking it down, how do you beat Florida? Stan says, I'm sick of Florida. You get to be sick of them at least one more game. At least one more game. Kevlar points out Auburn gets its second trophy of the year, and I hope we get the final one. Just keeps stacking things up. And I want to talk about this here real quick aspect of it. Let me preface it by saying in no way am I not hoping, believing, expecting us to win the national title, going into every game doing that, because that's why you show up to play this game, to do these things, to do these shows, right? That's why we're here. But you do need to take stock of what it took to get to this point, facing this conference, this schedule with the conference, schedule with non-conference, the tournament, the SEC in its historic year, this tournament, the path, the toughest region metrically that was put out there for this tournament. Auburn made it all the way through, and you're in the Final Four. Take hold of that. You are South Region champions. There's another trophy here to as Kevlar pointed out. Hope we get the final one, but celebrate these wins along the way. Jacobs here says, good win, had a big run, and held on tight. What a way to start the game, too, by the way. That was exactly what the doctor ordered for Auburn. A quick start. Make sure this team knows that if we put the pedal to the metal, there is barely anybody that can hang with us. Certainly Michigan State could hang with us, but not enough to overcome us. Let's see here. WT wants me to give the shade to Austin. You can do that tonight on the Auburn Experience show about his bracket falling off. Certainly had a great start, though. Jacob also points out that we've got a lot of healing to do. We all have a lot of healing, too, about our blood pressures. How about that, the fans? But certainly very concerning what happened to Janai. I believe there's going to be a lot of soreness that sets in with whatever happened, but thankful to see him come back in the game. Chad was banged up again. We know that who else? Dylan's been, susceptible to cramps. Like Miles was wincing a lot at the end of the game. Part of the reason he missed one of his free throws, which he barely misses ever. It's crazy to think about, but yeah, this team is really banged up a little bit. And so thankfully you're going to have, I guess the games will be played on Friday. 4 full days to settle in, heal up, rest up, get a little bit of practice in. Because, I would assume they've got 2 days at home and then they'll be traveling out to San Antonio on Wednesday. I would assume that's how it's going to happen, but plenty of healing to do. Corey's already thinking about recruiting. I think recruiting is going just fine. But certainly recruiting is going to be helped by just what happened here today, because this is proof that 2019 wasn't just a flash in the pan. That's the biggest argument about whether Bruce Pearl, Auburn are for real together is, 2019, anybody can get hot. No, when you get there in pretty close by years, you put together great years in between all that, this proves that Auburn is real. New bloods don't need to be blue bloods, but we are the new bloods. Let's see here. This is from Robert. Auburn needs to shoot better against Florida than they did against them at Neville. Certainly that will help. we can go back and look at that game and talk about several elements that could certainly help. But it's going to be a tough thing no matter what Auburn fixes on their side. It's just Florida is a great basketball team. What else here in the chat as we look through the rest of here? Kevlar says, got to get Broom in the training room and get him healed up quick. Certainly that needs to happen here. Lots of love and concern being showed out there. I really hope Janai comes out in the next game like he did with the bum arm against Purdue. Well, he kind of did today already. So that's a huge thing right there. So only team in the state with 2 Final Fours. Great point, WT. And that's a good laugh right here. Doesn't it, can you imagine in this tournament not making it to the Final Four? Can you imagine what that must feel like? I can't. So we'll have our fun at their expense. And I already had a ton of Bama fans before the game was even over, and it looked like it was getting into hand for Auburn, finding our content on there. Like, I hope you lose that Duke. I was like, well, you're assuming we're going to beat Florida? Shows you how much they don't know about the tournament, and they're just constantly letting us live rent-free in their heads. Now, obviously, we don't want to worry too much beyond Florida. I want to stress that with you, whether you're watching and listening live, whether you're listening to the replay, watching the replay. I know. It's right there. You're in the Final Four. The only thing that you need to worry about, and the team really, but you as fans, is Florida. That is it. Do not worry about what happens with Duke and Houston. That will take care of itself. All you have to worry about is Florida. That's it. We're going to have a lot of these conversations this week that are going to start. Don't worry about how this is going to affect recruiting. Don't worry about so-and-so that's in the transfer portal. Don't worry about any of that. You are in the Final Four. That is the only thing that you need to be focusing on. That is the only thing that you need to be celebrating. That is the only thing that you need to be concerning yourself with. But all that to be said, certainly it's going to be quite the Final Four being chalk. Duke, Houston, Auburn, Florida. The number 1 seeds make it all the way. So all of you that, like me, who were boring in your bracket this year, you won. So there it sits. All right. Final comments, final questions, final points about this game, about the storylines, about all of that before we get out of here. Thankfully, as I said on our last show, I am so thankful every time we get to do a post-game show with you all. And it just keeps getting better because we keep getting to do one more. We're only guaranteed one more, but there could be 2 more. We'll see. I'm so excited about all this. And so final points, final comments, all of that. Let's see what you guys think. And I've already given you all the reminders in this show. Jacob says, so Florida beat us ugly last year when we blitzed them in the SEC tourney, right? They got us at home by double digits this year. Have a tourney game coming up. He's ... I see where he's going with that. Duke and Florida are already the favorites, and they've been that way for the long time. It's not new news, but not something you need to worry about whether you're the favorite or not. Just go out and take care of business. You're the number 1 overall seed with the hardest path, ironically, to the Final Four, and you made it. You made it. This is from Thomas. Says, I've been living for months off my. I've been giving months off my lifespan for Auburn for 36 years in stress. Today was worth it. Celebrations for Broom, celebrations for the team have rolled in throughout the stream, but here we sit. Again, a reminder, your final score, 70-64. The Tigers get the victory, snap the undefeated streak for Tom Izzo against the SEC, which includes this year, folks. Includes this year. Don't forget that. That's an impressive thing. It's Tom Izzo. It's January, February, and Izzo, and then April. Auburn does it. That was your score. Your big stat was 4 for being to the Final Four. Your big storyline, Janai comes in after the injury. Not only does he drain a 3, but he looks great and makes us all feel a lot better about what's going on with him. I am so excited that we get to get back together one more time for these post-game shows, and I hope that you will join us whatever time it is, whenever it is, wherever it is, probably right here in studio. Hope that you'll be here to hang out with us and talk about the Auburn experience of Auburn once again being in the Final Four. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family, and we appreciate you so much. Enjoy it, baby. Final Four bound. The Tigers win. War Eagle.